right onto Dover Road. Continue for 1.5 miles. Better route available. In 1/4 mile, keep right to continue towards Tons Lane, A355. Keep right. quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto the M4 slip road to London Heathrow Airport. In a quarter of a mile, merge onto M4. In 2 miles, at junction 5, take the A4, B470 exit to Colnbrook, Langley. In a quarter of a mile, at junction 5, take the A4, B470 exit to Colnbrook, Langley. Exit at junction 5. In a quarter of a mile, at Langley Roundabout, take the 3rd exit onto London Road, A4. Exit the roundabout onto London Road. In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, continue straight to stay on London Road, A4. quarter of a mile, use the right 2 lanes to turn right onto Stanwell Moor Road, A3044. Use the right 2 lanes to turn right onto Stanwell Moor Road, A3044. In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the second exit and stay on Stanwell Moor Road, A3044. Exit the roundabout onto Stanwell Moor Road. Continue on Stanwell Moor Road for 1 mile. In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto Southern Perimeter Road. Exit the roundabout onto Southern Perimeter Road. In 200 yards, at Western Perimeter Road roundabout, take the second exit and stay on Southern Perimeter Road. Exit the roundabout onto Southern Perimeter Road. Continue on Southern Perimeter Road for 1.5 miles.
Same thing with pensions.
Yeah, pensions in exactly the same situation. What he would like to do in an ideal world is to wait until the autumn, wait to see what's happened in the war, wait to see whether wholesale energy prices start to come down, see whether the volatility in the world markets calms down before he takes big economic decisions. But I think, frankly, the political situation is so serious now that he'll have to do something on the upside rather than modest.
Something was talked about in one of the papers this morning about, I mean, this is quite boring stuff, but I mean, it's sort of necessary stuff as well. Raising, the national insurance rise, obviously manifesto pledge broken, big political hot potato. Talking about raising the threshold at which national insurance is paid as a way of mitigating some of the pain from the 1.25% national insurance rise, both for employers and employees.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting idea because that actually would be honouring a Conservative manifesto pledge. So they promised to do that. And the idea would be that you would actually help those on the lowest incomes because they start to pay national insurance at a higher rate. That would be progressive. It will help the young, it will help workers. The difficulty, I think, from Rishi Sunak's point of view, is how you explain it. Because what it would mean is you'll simultaneously...
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the third exit onto Beacon Road.
...message, but I think economically that makes a great deal of sense.
You talk about fuel duty, one of the areas of contention seemingly between number 10 and number 11 is on the building of these modular nuclear plants, or a bigger nuclear plant, whatever it is. I mean, it's clearly been folly from Germany, clearly been folly for many nations if they had not pursued more spending on nuclear. We need to be more self-reliant when it comes to energy, and so Mr. Sunak has to
exit the roundabout onto Beacon Road.
Boris Johnson.
In 100 yards, at the roundabout, take the second exit onto Stanwell Road.
No, I mean, I think there is tension there, definitely. I mean, it was one of the biggest mistakes that Angela Merkel made as German Chancellor, as you mentioned.
Exit the roundabout onto Stanwell Road. In half a mile, turn right onto Great Southwest Road, A30.
On the nuclear front for over a decade, really, just one nuclear plant under construction at Hinkley Point. So Boris Johnson's talked about putting a big bet on nuclear in this country. And on Friday, Rishi Sunak had a meeting with Boris Johnson, said, well, hang on a second, we're putting a big bet on nuclear. That involves me betting some of my money. I need more time to look at this. And he's insisted he has more time to consider what exactly the price tag's going to be on these nuclear power stations. But in the end, I don't see any alternative either to building big...
Turn right onto Great Southwest Road, A30.
...stations you're referring to there.
Yeah. And there's talk, isn't there, about a new cabinet committee on financial waste?
In a quarter of a mile, at Clockhouse Roundabout, take the first exit onto Staines Road, A315.
What didn't we know?
In 200 yards, turn left onto Hatton Road.
Is it going to be a dramatic spring statement with material like that in it, or do you think we're all going to end up rather disappointed with the...
Well, I hope not. I mean, the efficiency drive...
Turn left onto Hatton Road.
As you say, if you're not looking for efficiencies all the time, what are you doing? I mean, he's asking the NHS to double its search for efficiency savings. Well, I'm sure anyone who's interacted with the NHS recently would realise there's quite a lot of inefficiency that could be cut out of the system, but that should be a priority all of the time to get money into the front line. Look, I mean, Sunak has been trying to downplay expectations about what he's going to say next Wednesday. His view is that...
Turn left onto Staines Road, A315.
And it's not the time for making big political judgments or economic judgments, and it's better to wait to see how things settle down by the autumn. But I think if he does that, he'll just be accused by Labour of sitting on his hands while households face this terrible...
In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, continue straight to stay on Staines Road, A315.
...trailing or leaking of this statement into the press ahead of time, which either means there's nothing in it, or it could be he's saving something big back.
We'll see. George, yeah, I know, sitting on the fence. Election next year. I mean, is his name David Kasani? Is he the Deputy Chief of Staff? Is that the bloke that was extensively quoted yesterday?
Canzini, yes.
Canzini, all right. Kasani,
yes.
Canzini, thank you.
I wouldn't necessarily stake too much on his view on this. He's coming down the street to sort of sharpen up the political operation. At the spring conference, the Tory conference in Blackpool, Oliver Dowden, the party chairman, said we have 2 years to get ready for an election, which will take you up to the spring of 2024. I still think that's by far and away the most likely time to have an election.
It's only because that bloke said, what's his name again?
Canzini, yeah.
Canzini. It was only because he's clearly done his research and he was mentioning the priorities that Boris and presumably all of them need to get into every speech from now on. If I hear Brexit being mentioned at the top of every speech, I'm going to go mad.
Well, that was an extraordinary thing that he said the top priority was just demonstrating the benefits of Brexit. The top priority anyone can see is to try and help people through a terrible cost of living crisis. Yeah. The idea that incremental things about sort of, I don't know, whatever it might be, and I know that there's been criticism of some of the sort of trivial things like putting crown stamps on pint glass and stuff, but that is not the top of the list of people's priorities. The cost of getting through the week is the priority.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Good to speak with you, George. Thank you very much for all of that. Full roundup. George Parker, political editor of the Financial Times. Of course, this week, upcoming Wednesday, the spring statement from Rishi Sunak. Relations between number 10 and number 11 clearly strained at times. I'll take your call, Ben, in just a second on Ukraine. What are we going to do about Putin? Do you ever see a time where you're going to see him in the dock, in a court of law, any court of law anywhere? Or is that not the way this is going? And we'll continue to keep you updated with what...
In a quarter of a mile, turn right onto Shaftesbury Avenue.
Sam Conlon with the news. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says the siege of Mariupol will go down in history for war crimes committed by Russian troops. There are reports that thousands of civilians have been forcibly moved to Russia from the southeastern port city. Boris Johnson has been criticised for comparing the Ukrainian...
Take the next right onto Shaftesbury Avenue, then turn left onto Roslin Avenue.
Brexit. Conservative peer Lord Barwell says the referendum isn't any way comparable with risking your life. A private funeral has been held for Shane Warne in his home city of Melbourne. The legendary Australian cricketer died of a suspected heart